1, you're live.
Good evening everyone, welcome to this South East Planning Committee meeting on Wednesday the 23rd of July 2025. My name is Councillor Vanessa Bell and I am Chair of this committee. Members, we are streaming the meeting live as well as recording, and by being present in the meeting, you are giving your consent to being recorded. During each item, please put your hand up to indicate if you wish to speak. I will then invite you at the appropriate time. Members, I should also say, in the event of fire, the fire exit is out there and we muster in the car park. Hopefully Councillor Stout won't be lighting her birthday candles before the end of the So, moving on, apologies for absence. Committee Clerk, may I have the apologies for absence, please?
Thank you, Chair. We've received apologies for absence from Councillor Bassenger and Councillor Pratt.
Thank you very much. So, item 3, minutes. Now, I'm afraid the delay in the minutes is slightly down to me because I didn't get the email on Friday and I only got it on Monday. So, sadly, we only have the minutes of the meeting held on 25th of June today. Has everybody had a chance to read them?
Yeah.
Yeah. And are we okay to agree those by assent? Do I need a seconder first? Anyway, thank you, Councillor Neil. Can we agree those by assent?
Agreed.
Super, thank you very much. So, declarations of interest, members, to disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests, and non-registrable interests relating to items of business on the agenda, having regard to paragraph 9 and appendix B of the Code of Conduct for members. And members are reminded that should any declarations of interest arise during the meeting, they should declare them. Members, anything? No? Super. Okay, then let us move on to agenda item 5, 00947, which is a full application. It's PD, sir?
Patrick Daly.
Thank you very much. Patrick Daly is not with us tonight, so we have Fiona Bradley presenting the item. And it's land west of Thatched Cottage, Green Lane, Burnham-on-Crouch, Essex, and it's on pages 7 to 30. So there's no members update in relation to this, so without further ado, Mrs. Bradley, over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. Before I start my presentation, I've been made aware of a couple of errors in the report that I would just like to apologise for and be correct. Firstly, in the report, it does refer to Mangaps Close, and that's incorrect. It is Mangaps Chase. And secondly, it refers to the Stony Hills settlement boundary. It should be referring to the Burnham North settlement boundary, so apologies for those errors in the report. Right. The application site is located on the south side of Green Lane, which is opposite Mangaps. I almost said close then because I've just said it, Mangaps Chase. So Mangaps Chase is here, in Green Lane here, and the application site is shown where the red star is, outlined in red here. I'll just move that. So, just running through some site photos. The first site photo here is taken from the northeastern corner of the site on Green Lane. So looking in a southeasterly direction into the site here. The second photo, this one here, is taken from across the road from the site on Green Lane and the approximate location of where the proposed access would be. And the third photo down here is taken from Mangaps Chase, looking in a southerly direction towards the site. Just providing a bit of policy context here, and again, apologies, it refers to Stony Hills here, can you ignore that please? Again, the application site is shown in red, so it's outside of a settlement boundary, which is in this location here and then further to the south, with the strategic allocation shown here. This is the site layout that's proposed. There's the single access now from Green Lane proposed here, with the 3 plots located off that central access. There is an existing access in this location which would be permanently closed as part of it. It doesn't look like a particular access at the moment, but there would be one there that they could utilise. And just to give a bit of context, we've got Thatched Cottage next door, which is a Grade 2 listed building. Just running through the elevations for the 3 plots. So we've got plot 1, which is closest to Thatched Cottage, plot 2, and then plot 3. In terms of highways considerations, through the course of the application there have been revised plans and further information submitted because there was initially concerns raised from the Highways Authority regarding highway safety. A report was submitted demonstrating no accidents in the last 10 years. A speed survey was undertaken, and on that basis and the single access provision, Essex County as Highways Authority have raised no objection to the application subject to conditions. I've just shown the highway access plan here, which includes visibility displays, and as I say, the existing site access to be permanently closed, and they are recommended as conditions in the recommendation. In terms of heritage considerations, as I said, we've got Thatched Cottage in this location here, which is Grade 2 listed, and plot 1 would be sited closest to that property. We've consulted with the Council's Conservation Officer, who's raised no objection to the application on conservation grounds in terms of setting of the listed building. In terms of the planning balance, as you'll see in the report, we have set out that at the moment the Council has no 5-year housing land supply, and on that basis the tilted balance is engaged, and therefore we do give substantial weight to the provision of houses. We have considered the site to be in a sustainable location, given its proximity to settlement boundaries and reasonable access to public transport. Other potential harms have been identified but have been considered to be able to be addressed, for example, highway impact, and also biodiversity net gain. There would be moderate weight given to that as a planning benefit, and it's considered that the design and layout is acceptable. It does conflict with the development plan, as I've set out, but in terms of the planning balance, officers have given weight to the benefits of the scheme and saying it outweighs the harm, and on that note it's been recommended that the application is granted subject to the RAM's planning obligations and conditions as set out in the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs Bradley. Now we do have public participation for this item, so Mrs Sadler, if you could approach the please. No, you don't. It's up to you. And once we've got the buzzer on screen, please start as soon as you're ready, and you have 2 minutes. So hang on.
1 moment, because I'm
Just bear with while we locate the timer.
Thank you.
Brilliant. So whenever you're ready.
On behalf of the local residents, having never objected to any development on Green Lane, I would like to object to this development on the following grounds. It is out of character with any other housing in the lane, as it is a mini housing estate with 3 large houses and garages, which will in no doubt overshadow the listed thatched cottage. This cottage dates from 1690 and sits in an Essex historical landscape and is one of the few local landmarks that sits in nice countryside. The proposed development will do absolutely nothing to help with the current housing crisis, as there is no social housing involved. The highway safety aspect of this build is not practical, as it is on a 60-mile-an-hour single-track lane with a blind bend, which is notoriously dangerous, so accessibility to the properties will be problematic. Green Lane is now a very busy road, as it is used as a cut-through by residents to new housing developments to avoid the Malden Road queues. In the past, Malden District Planning Department have said there will be no development on the south side of Green Lane because it is outside the development plan. to prevent the coalescence of Burnham-on-Crouch and the Eaves Corner / Stony Hills urban area, i.e. the Grangewood Park estate is all built on the south side of the land with a green wedge down Green Lane. To pass this proposed development will go against their own policy and then set a precedent for further applications on the south side of Green Lane. Last but not least, this field is a haven for wildlife with an ancient protected badger set monitored by North East Essex Badger Group. Any development would severely impact on them. In consideration to all points raised, local residents would ask members to please vote against this application.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Members, over to you, Mrs. Councillor Stone. I'll go to you and Councillor St as the ward members first.
I'm quite happy to let other members have their say first if they want, and I'll listen to theirs because I have got a few things to say, but I'm more than happy if members want me to go first, but I do like to listen to others before I start.
I know you do.
So,
I
would like to do the same.
Okay, then any other members wish to comment on this? Yes,
I'd
Councillor.
like to start with the size of basically the size of the property. It's a four bedroom houses. I think it's total overbuilder's site. In the plan, we're looking at we needing more 2-3 bedroom houses. They're saying it's going for the plan, and that's what we're after. We need more houses, but not 4 bedroom ones. This is not an affordable home. What are they going to be? £600,000 more or whatever each, I don't know, you know, I'm just saying it's not an affordable home for someone else who can move to Burnham, a young family moving in, who's not going to be able to do it. So it's going for the people who are moving on to a bigger house. So I think that it is way overbuilding on that side.
Thank you. I note it doesn't trigger a section 106 contribution either. Councillor Brown.
I just find a number of contradictions really. Page 13, 5, 1, 12, it says that new development should be facilitating a reduction in the need to travel by private car and focus on locations. And it says in 5, 1 to 15, it admits that it's a very narrow and unlit road. There is no way you have to rely on a car, and it's so dangerous for a pedestrian to walk. And the other thing is in 522, there's a need for smaller houses. These are 4 bedroom houses, so they do not go anywhere near fulfilling that.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Members, thank you, Councillor Clearstone.
So just quickly, I mean, the amount of times that we've been told that in the absence of a pedestrian footpath, then questions around sustainability and access arise. Now, if I've got this right, I'm looking at the site photos, so just perhaps you could pop that up on the screen. I think it's the second or third screen spaces, site photos. So on the left-hand side, I can see no street lights, no footpaths, and very worryingly, Chairman, something you often don't see so close to a junction, and it's a national speed limit sign. So you've now got vehicles going as fast as 60 miles an hour. We've got no street lights, and we've got no pedestrian footpath. Now, in the past, we've been told this is unacceptable when it comes to sustainability, because I don't believe anybody would be that keen to walk on that part of the road. I mean, that's my view. I mean, I'll give way to those with more local knowledge, but that is my sort of view on this.
Can I just, before I go to anyone else, can I just query, I know what highways have said they have no objection to this, but would highways be taking into consideration the need for pedestrian safety and footpath? Does that fall under their remit or not? So to put you in a spot, it's important.
It could fall under their remit, but no, they're looking at highway safety from
That's helpful.
Could I just come
Yes,
back
please,
a little bit on Councillor Fluker's comments? You're quite right, there's no footpath in this location, and what we'd normally be saying to you is there's no footpath, therefore. In this location, the footpath doesn't start until down this way. I think the difficulty we had with this site.
Can I have clarity on where you're saying the footpath starts?
There's a footway.
If we just go to Councillor Stan because she's very familiar with
Yeah,
that.
please. Where does it start?
There is
Which
part of a footway.
There's no footpath there. You walk on the road, the footpath is at the bottom of the Malden Road, as you come in, there's a little one on the corner of Pillars Close. That is where there's a footpath. There's no other footpath. The 180, even with the kiddies that come out across there, there's no footpath on Green Lane.
Right.
You take your life in your hands when you go on Green Lane, but I'll stop there. And that's why I was interested for you to show where the footpath is.
Apologies.
One last question. Have you visited the site, and has the officer who has written this report visited the site?
I have been to the site, I haven't been on the site.
Okay, so did you walk?
No, I haven't walked, no.
Okay, that's fair.
As far as I know, the officer has visited the site, but I couldn't tell you precisely what he
Through
did.
you, Chair, the reason I asked was the original officer, I won't mention the name, who spoke to me regarding this application. I went to speak to them yesterday and was told that they had left the authority. I didn't even know that that was the person who I advised when that person was coming to site, where to park and where to do the walking. This is quite serious. It is a busy road, and the person who spoke was Sadler. And if you actually read all the letters of support and opposition, it actually states quite clearly there has been accidents there. And just because it's not reported to the authority makes no difference. There's a criterion when you actually notify the authority.
Don't leave the room.
Don't leave the room, councillor. Just turn it off.
It's all right.
You
So
see-
I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, that's helpful. And as we know, highways quite often, if not always, do desk check assessments, don't they? They don't always come in.
Well, the assessment highways does is a different one. As you say, it's reported accidents, and it is a category of accidents as well, which is what they take into account.
That's helpful, thank you.
Sorry, if I could just come back as a matter of fact. I mean, from what I understand from highways is you can have a lot of damage-only accidents, and 9 times out of 10 they're not reported, because when you go to the police they say it's a 50-50, go to insurance companies, and the only thing that they ever collate information on is either serious accidents or where people are killed.
That's right.
And this is where all of this information is at fault.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
I'll give way to
understand
councillors.
completely.
No. Did you ask? Did you have your question?
Well, just that, look, you know, like quite a few of you, I've been there nearly, it feels like for nearly forever, and Green Lanes used to be, you know, a quiet little backwater, and now, I think Mrs. Sadler said it, or somebody said, it's just become a high-speed rat run, isn't it? Right the way through there, and that's the problem with it.
And currently, we've got the roadworks on Malden Road, which means that everybody is avoiding them. But thank you, councillor Fitter.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair, to the officer. One of the things that you point out is that we're under tilt and there's substantial benefit from increased housing land supply. But the interesting point is that we are into because not because we haven't built enough houses or we haven't met our planning requirements, because we're well over all of them, 102% on the plan, we're 128% on the housing delivery test. If you were to look at the measurement against the standard level since inception, we're 132%. And against census forecast, we're 149%. But our housing affordability is a real issue. So I did an exercise, I looked at what the impact would have been last year of building 3,000 study units. I didn't think it made a difference. Well, interestingly enough, it actually increased our housing target by 1. So over a 5-year period, that means we've got to build 5 houses by building 3 houses. That won't always be the case. So the point of the matter is, where do we stand now in terms of planning balance, whereby the reason that we're in tilt isn't because of any failure of plan, it's not because of the level of house building we're building, but because of housing prices that we're building, that building more often will make make the situation worse and worse and worse. So, I mean, this is probably different grounds for planning because there's never been a situation where the housing targets or tilt has risen simply because of an algorithm.
Yeah, I take the points you raised, thank you, Chair, and say in terms of from a planning policy perspective, what we're looking at is an under provision in terms of the 5-year supply, and that's what we as officers need to go on in terms of whether the tilted balance is engaged or not. So, you know, I don't think I can say anything more because I don't have anything more to say from a policy perspective in terms of the tilted balance. My advice is that we don't have a 5-year housing land supply and therefore the tilted balance is engaged.
Okay, I'll just go back to it. I mean, I guess I'm making this point because in 5.2.3 mentions that it doesn't comply with housing mix H2, but it is providing towards the 4-bedroom property. Well, that would be fine if we've got a need for 4-bedroom properties. When you look at the supply, extant supply that we've got, you know, and taking into consideration Burnham-on-Crouch, which is quite a high value estate, then over 31% of our property would be valued at 4+ bedrooms, which is an incredibly high amount, given that I know that the LHNA 2021 indicate between 15 and 25%, but that is not a policy document, that is just information that is given to or provided to authority to decide what the housing mix should be. There's been no formal adoption of that level. So to me, looking backwards, the local development plan indicates that 60% of property should be 1 and 2 beds, and 40% of property should be 3 and 4 beds. So if we've got 4 beds at 31%, I think the 3 beds are sitting around about 34%, we're clearly far towards the top end of development, and that is the reason, sole reason, that despite all of these houses that we built, well above targets, our median house price has declined, in part. It's not in whole, but in part. So I'm struggling in terms of our policies and the NPPF in terms of meeting needs to, just because we're in tilt, if we're going to make tilt worse, because there's no way of avoiding it, because the reason we're granting consent is for more housing that then makes us less viable. It makes no sense anymore.
I support Councillor Pittock there, because that is what was raised at the Cambridge appeal. That is how Wine Morden got absolutely slaughtered. And the barrister turned around and said, it's not our problem, your authority don't build the houses that are required in your local housing needs assessment. So Councillor Pittock's got a very good point. 3 or 4 bedroom houses is not what Burnham-on-Crouch needs, and I did note in the officer's report it said it would be beneficial to the district. I mean, I don't want to rubbish this report, and we haven't got all nights, but I have gone through it and I've got many queries which I won't raise them all. I'd like to ask the officer, why have we not had to have an agricultural impact assessment at 5.83? I thought we always had to have one of those. So why have we not got one? I'll wait for you to answer. When it is referred to in the responses from the statutory consultees, they have made sort of said, you know, we don't have to have it, but I thought we did, because this is a site in an area which I would call beautiful, because we live there. Green Lane is the buffer between Maldon Road, which is the main road coming in, and the Southminster Road, which is the main road going out, if you want to say that. And before you answer, don't get it, but in this report, the officer keeps either relating or comparing Stony Hills. Nothing to do with Stony Hills. Stony Hills is the other side of Southminster Road, at the end of Mill Road. It's one road in, you can't get out when you get to the bottom, you have to turn around and come back. Absolutely no correlation as far as I'm concerned regarding it, except for loads of big houses, which they all aren't selling, actually, as I did a quick Google. I'd also like to say, when you referred to, or the officer referred to, the development on Green Lane, and he said about the strategic site of 180. Now, not everybody will remember that strategic site on Green 80, which you access from Southminster Road, but nothing to do with Green Lane. There was a little footpath for the school children, the little Johnny and Jennies, to get across Green Lane to go over there. We've actually queried that because it's very dangerous. It's in 60 mile an hour, and who wants little Johnny and Jenny getting splattered as they're trying to cross that road? It's just absolutely ludicrous. But when we actually was looking at that development, we wanted the fire brigade to actually have a bollard access, so that if there was a fire, they could take that down in case there's a problem going all the way round. It was quicker. Even they wouldn't allow access from the bottom of that road. So I'm absolutely amazed that highways are allowing access at the top, still within a 60 mile an hour limit, for when these houses, if the authority passes it, they're going to have a weight tonnage in there. There is a limited weight on Green Lane, that they're going to come in and they're going to be turning in that blind bend. And yeah, I know that's very difficult. We always say we can't argue against highways. But I'm sorry, my own, conscience will not allow me to support an application that is a matter of time before something happens. We live there, we walk that, we know there's no footpath. Hardly anything in this report has actually, compared to the beauty, the protected species, the way that we actually have that green barrier there. We don't have houses along there, and the only house that we've got is a 2-bedroom bungalow at the bottom, which was won on appeal when this authority didn't have the previous 5-year land supply before. The other development is on the opposite side, and they are big houses. Yeah, and I think there's even one on that side where it's gone to appeal because there's been some, I could be wrong on this, so please don't, you can quote me, I apologise if I'm wrong, that has gone through the planning inspector because something has been converted and it's still at appeal because something has been converted into a house and it didn't have planning permission. But that's on the opposite side of the road. If you look and walk along Green Lane, the whole of that length of road is beautiful. You've got all the different grasses, even when that RHS, which own part of that land, we spent weeks and weeks trying to make sure that was all covered with green trees so it didn't look a mess from the houses on Southminster Road. So I understand reading this report, it says it's going to be screened. These houses are not what this authority says we need, and I'm sorry, but I will not be supporting this application as it stands. I think it's in breach of S8, and I also think it's, you're good at this, Adrian, which is the character and the beauty. D1, is it?
Policy AF,
But on those grounds, I will give in to that, but I have got lots of things, but I don't want to hold everybody up. But there's lots of things in this report that I particularly don't agree with. And I would also ask, when the person who wrote this, has he actually read the representation given by the Burnham-on-Crouch residents who took the time to write in with the facts that they know, that not necessarily this authority does know, because they live here. And we are getting a bit fed up of being ignored, to be quite honest with you. I understand policy and planning is law and all this sort of thing, but come on, we know what it's like. And to be honest, putting 3 4-bedroom houses is not what we need. There's plenty of other land in Burnham to build bigger houses if they so choose, which is going to be a mixed settlement, rather than 3 on the wrong side of the road. Thank you. I'd like to propose that we refuse.
I was going to say, is there a proposal coming? Is there a second?
I want to propose we refuse it.
And that's Councillor Hayes seconding. This, for me, shows, as always, the importance of planning officers having as much local knowledge as possible, which I know is challenging at times. It's really important. Councillor St Norman, then I've got something to say after you. Oh, do you want to come back?
Oh, yes,
I would like to come on this. I've been a councillor in this council on and off for 25 years. And I had over and over and over again complaints about the fact that the speed of the traffic that goes down that road. The problem is this, that highways I do wonder if they've got any common sense at all. Because after all, in fact, they have personally told me time and time again that they're not going to reduce the speed limit down there.
Last year.
Now, if that's actually contrary to what they're actually thinking, because what they're saying is that they can speed down there and we can have the houses going all over the place and the children can be running around in the road, but we're not going to reduce the speed limit.
That's right.
Now, from my point of view, they don't listen to the residents in town, and I'm speaking for 30 years of residents in this town who have asked that in fact something's done. Now, I don't want any size house down there, 2, 3, 4, 2, 1 houses down there at all. So I'll be definitely voting against this.
Thank you. I'm going to go now, Councillor.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
wait.
usually, but no, I don't. But I have got something to say about this, and to be honest, I'm surprised that no other member has raised it. And that's design. We've got what appears from it. It would have been helpful to actually have some CGI images for this, because what I'm looking at on the drawings are 3 black boxes. And when I look at the positioning of them on the, if you could, I mean, that jars my eyes looking at that. That's not appealing to the eye, the angles of those. So we seem to have 3 enormous black boxes at weird angles overlooking a tiny little listed building. Can we not do better?
They had to do that because Highways originally refused the application. So they've had to change the original layout.
So that's the reason for the
That's the
layout.
mitigation for the Highways entrance.
Well, that I find very interesting, that you've actually got to create something that I would say is design-wise goes against the policy in order to meet another requirement. And does this not just suggest overdevelopment, backland development, and trying, as I think somebody said, trying to cram a lot into a very small space? Am I the only person that thinks these look horrible, members?
I don't care what they look like.
I don't want to offend anybody's in here.
I think there's nothing wrong with the design of the properties at all. I mean, in their own way, they're quite attractive, but not on this site. Because if you look at the properties nearby, and also Green Lane is pretty much all linear development, isn't it? So all the houses face the road. So on this one, you've got something coming up, but you've got the 2 that are almost behind the one in a roundabout way, and we know why. Because if they put another one facing the street or Green Lane, then they probably wouldn't be able to get the other one in, or they wouldn't be able to get access to it. So I can understand the thinking behind that from a development point of view, but from a planning point of view, I don't get it. It just does not. It's an incongruous form of development in relation to its surroundings. But the other thing that I find as well is I don't know if you can blow that drawing up at all. So no, you can't do it. So I presume this was provided by the applicant, because it's quite misleading, because if you look on the north side of Green Lane, it appears from this drawing that there's sort of some kind of a footpath. There's not, it's a verge. And if you go to Google Street Scene, and clearly you've done that because Parsons report has got the images from Google Street Scene. But if you look towards the northwest corner of the site, so where the red line is, sorry, the page you're on. So at the northwest corner at the top there on the right hand side, I mean, if one presumes that line going around is the verge above it, then by virtue of the applicant's own measurements, which if you zoom in you can see quite clearly, the road there is only just only 5 metres wide. So there's absolutely no way two cars can pass. And this is a situation that would appeal in Southminster, where you've got all these complexities over the road being 5.2 metres wide. It's just not. To me, in my mind, it really does not conform with what we're trying to achieve.
Thank you. Councillor Fitton, because I think you wanted to come back after.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a sort of point to the officer through you. I mean, I go back to the substantial benefit of additional housing supply. Well, if 3 houses are a substantial benefit, I'd hate to think what 100 would be. So I'm just wondering whether, in terms of planning balance, I mean, obviously members may have a different view to officers on this matter, which is our sovereign right. I wouldn't regard 3 properties to addition to our 5-year housing act to be a substantial benefit, given, as I mentioned previously, because they're higher than the median price by, it doesn't matter how much higher, because they're higher than the median price, that automatically can potentially lead to, if you like, an affordability median price increase, which then passes on to 5-year housing land supply by default. I mean, that's not absolutely certain that will happen, but it depends on churn. But I can't really understand the substantial benefit of 3 houses in planning balance. I really can't.
Do you want to come back on that?
In terms of the planning balance, it was given in 5.10.2. It was recognised that there would be new houses, but it was, given the scale of development, it was given limited weight rather than substantial weight.
On the side it says substantial.
It says substantial.
Apologies.
Do you want to, through you, Chair, can you answer my question about the agricultural one?
It's not a requirement that it has to be submitted with an application. Sometimes it is submitted, sometimes it's not. In this case, our agricultural consultant said that they would need one, but that we're satisfied that it could be conditioned.
Yeah, which I've read, and I've tried to make sure that the conditions are put there. But through you, Chair, sorry, I didn't ask. This goes to consistency. I'm sure we've had planning meetings where an application has been deferred because there was no report submitted. And also, we're supposed to be in a climate emergency, and Morden have actually got that as one of their policies. So I'm a bit concerned that on some applications we are told we have to have one, or they're thrown out or deferred to get one. But on this one, it's quite acceptable, which concerns me really, because this really does need one if you look at the site. And if you consider where it is located next to an agricultural farm, which does a lot of local food growing, so we don't have to get, go on buses and trains to go to the supermarket. We can all hop up the road if we want to on our bikes or our little cars. But I think we need to be looking to support local, and this is what it does. And I think we've had this before. When you've had homeowners, you're going to have cement knowledge, you're going to have dirt. I mean, you only have to look where I live. It's been going on for 5 years, and I'm absolutely sick of my black cars being covered in dirt. And I don't have a shop or anything or a business to run. So I do think we have to think about our residents as well, and not always just go for, we fix our planning, NPPF or officer's recommendation, but I still would like a response to the whole committee if the planning person who wrote the report has visited the site, please, because we always ask that when we get a report of this nature. Thank you.
Members, Councillor Siddle.
Can I just ask whether the planning officer actually spoke to the highways and asked them the history of that road? Because I think that's important.
They don't listen, Councillor.
I mean, the
They do a desktop study and that's it.
It's about time we actually complain about that. Because I've also done, the residents know the situation there. I know the situation. I've been in Burnham since 1963. And environment, well, I can't see how the conservation officer says there's no objection on the trees, no objection, and the ecology, no objection. I cannot believe that this is our planning laws.
It's nominal, isn't it? I did use that word.
Nominal. I know.
Nominal.
Yeah, well, it depends on what people think is nominal. It's actually an individual's idea on what's nominal.
Subjective. Members, we have a proposal on the table which is to refuse, which is in opposition to the officer's recommendation. So, can we take a vote on that? members.
So can you just confirm?
And then we'll talk about the, if
Well,
we do end up.
Before I vote, I'd like to be clear on what policies.
That's exactly what I was about to say, Councillor
That's what I'd
Fluker.
like
We
to-
need to be clear on the
Let's do that
policies.
first. So I think we had D1 with design.
S8.
S8 and D1.
And what's the one where, I did write it, what's the one where I don't think it actually does meet the housing needs?
H2.
Housing need.
H2.
So we're actually going against the officer's recommendations plus another one.
Plus another one.
Yeah, I think it would be useful just to understand, because I think the issues you've raised are in terms of the location, there are issues in terms of design,
Yeah.
height,
Yeah.
layout,
Yeah.
and those combined result in what we call an
Street
incongruous
Development.
form of development in that location. So that could be a reason for refusal in terms of policy. We'd look at S1, S8, D1, H4. The points Councillor Fluker raised about the location and have been expanded on in terms of the location, lack of footway and that sort of thing. Because the site is in the countryside, we could look at having a reason for refusal that does talk about it being an inaccessible location due to the narrow road, it's unlit, no footways, and therefore poor access to public services, reliance on the car.
Yeah.
And the
So-
national speed limit.
No, that's really.
National speed limit, the only thing I'm worried about there is because that's going into highway safety realms.
Yeah,
And we've
okay.
got no objection from the county council, so I think in terms of reasonableness, I would recommend you step away from that.
Because they said they mitigated it and they moved the access, what the original access was, that moved it.
But if you let me come back through you, John, highways are really, there's two boxes they tick, don't they? Highway safety, which basically starts off with has there been any accidents there, and the other one is visibility displays. And you can see that within the red area, under the ownership of the applicant, they've managed to create their visibility displays. My feeling is that if we were to mention that highway safety by virtue of the fact the national speed limit applies, it can always be crossed off in another place. But I think it's worth.
I could include it, because if we're talking about it being an unlit, narrow road with 60 mile per hour speed, okay.
Yeah,
I understand,
thanks.
Councillor Simon, do you still want to come back?
Yes, I do. The thing is, I want to ensure that what we're disagreeing with, they won't come up with building smaller houses, because that's what I'm trying to...
We can't mitigate for that.
We need to say something if those reasons. We need to. But we do not agree with any sort of...
We can't say
Yeah,
that.
we're talking about the site
We
location.
can say that. I do apologise. We should say that.
I'm sorry,
We can say that.
You say the site.
We say the site.
Site location is because of those reasons.
Okay.
That's how we fix it.
I do apologise, that's our top reason, it turns
That's
out.
fine.
Councillor
Everybody
Simon.
makes mistakes.
I do apologise, so yeah, that is our top reason, followed by design, I think. So, members, do we now?
Can you just, sorry, Chair, could you just clarify that reason again, please?
Mrs Bradley.
So at the moment, we've got two reasons for refusal. So the first one would be that it's an unsustainable location, as it's inaccessible due to the road being unlit, narrow, no footways, and in the 60 mile per hour zone.
Yeah.
And then I would include the relevant policies, if you're happy for me to include
Yeah.
that, Chair.
We haven't voted yet, but after we voted,
If
if
we
we do,
do,
so if we do,
yes.
yeah.
The second reason for refusal would be one surrounding design, height and layout, and the impact on the site and its surroundings. And
What about the other one, Tony, that Councillor Fitzgerald, where we said about not meeting the actual need? We don't need the faults. I mean, that was one that was quite important, because we've got the local housing needs assessment, And we're not going to, that's the affordability ratio.
H2, isn't it? H2.
It's more the point that we've got more than sufficient supply of four
Mm.
in extant supply, and really this is what should guide us, I would have thought, not what the report says where we are.
So that could form a third reason for refusal. That's one, as an officer, I'm a little bit more cautious
We'll all take responsibility for that.
But there is, you know, in terms of, you know, the policy H2, it talks about all developments having a suitable mix. And we could then also refer to the local housing needs assessment as well. So that could form a third reason for refusal, and that it's not meeting the greatest need, because we've already got an over provision of larger homes.
Yeah.
So that would be 3 reasons for refusal, and if the vote goes that way, officers agree it through the chair, if that's...
Yes, so members, are we comfortable to go
Yeah.
to a vote now? So all those in favour of Councillor Stan's proposal, which is to go against the officer's recommendation and to refuse this development, raise your hands. I think that's unanimous. So yes, with the reasons that we have given to you, so this is recommended for refusal.
Will this come back? Does that mean?
No, now it doesn't need to, because we
I
have
thought it would automatically.
satisfactory reasons, I believe, isn't it?
We're making this up as we go
Yeah.
along with it.
Especially,
No,
has there been a new,
So we had a constitutional
Oh,
break, didn't we?
No.
Hang on, we're just talking about how we do the
Can I
constitutional break.
check with the clerk in terms
Yes.
of the constitutional break?
How we do this.
My understanding...
While we're looking up,
Sorry?
just one moment.
Thank you.
Because we don't have to go away and have another meeting, do we?
Well, there might be.
apparently,
There might
Tuesday night, not Tuesday.
Post officer's recommendation.
Do we automatically have to
Yeah.
have a constitutional
And you've got to read that
break?
video.
Because I thought it was only if you want to do
That's what kicks it in. Constitutional right, we've gone against the officer's recommendation.
That's what we did last time, it's right.
That's what I thought that's the fix it. For once, members, it appears that I was actually right. And
We don't.
we don't, because the officers feel that we have defensible reasons. Should we be minded to refuse an application and the reasons are not reasonable, then we would have to have a constitutional right.
So based on that, then,
I don't make the rules,
no, I
Councillor.
get that. But so based on that, then last Tuesday night, the officers didn't think that was.
Don't ask me, Thank you, Councillor Fluke. It wasn't me, a big boy did it and ran away, I wasn't there. So, members, we have now agreed that, so that brings us on to item 6, any other items of business that the chairperson decides is urgent, and I have none. So members, thank you all very much, members of the public. We are now going to bring to a close at 28.